This is an International 5488 tractor. It's made by Ertl and it's in 1/16 scale. Now this tractor is number 10 in the Precision Key series. Now the Precision Key series, it was something that Ertl did to kind of differentiate between the different runs of precision tractors that they did. One of the things that they started doing for the precision tractors was they started doing a clear plastic box, and one of the reasons for that was there were so many guys that had bought these precision tractors and never opened the box. So you could have bought a $300 tractor that had a brick inside of it, and they said the box was sealed, and there were guys that never opened it. And so one of the things that they wanted to do was just change that so that the collectors could actually see what they were getting. And one of the other things too was that they changed the medallion that was in the box to a key. But the key that they included is just a generic basic key. And I've always thought this was kind of silly because, yeah, it's a key, but this key it's not going to start your golf cart, let alone, the tractor. That's not an international key. And I've always thought that was kind of silly to include a key that is not the tractor key. And it's metal, it's kind of nice, it looks good. But I don't think it would have been that difficult to actually stamp out a international key. But I guess that's just really nitpicking more than anything else. As far as the tractor itself goes, it's a really nice tractor, but this was about the time that Ertl actually started having some quality control issues. It's still a very nice tractor. It's still a decent precision model. It still looks great sitting on the shelf, but it's got a couple little things that just that really I wasn't used to seeing out of a precision model from Ertl. It's just little things, to be honest. For example, that is as far as this door will open. That's it right there. It's kind of funny. So on these 5488, which was the last series of international tractors that International made before they got bought by Case or Tenneco, the parent company or whatever. The doors, you see the hinges were in the front and they opened out. So if you're a bigger guy, the door opens up to about right here. You got to squeeze between the door and the wheel to get into the tractor. And like I said, if you're a bigger guy, that can be difficult. So it's kind of funny that was one of the biggest problems on these cabs, was that the door just wouldn't open up wide enough. And here you have on the model, the door just won't open wide enough. I can't even get it open now. So that's a little disappointing. It is better on the other side. The other side does open up a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So you can kind of see a better idea of what's in the cab. But again, like I said, it just doesn't open up far enough. On the, let's see, the Magnum tractors. The Magnum was actually the first joint tractor, I guess you could say, for the new Case International. What happened when Case bought International was they took their Case line, they completely dropped the International, the 5488s, and they took the Case, I want to say like the 94 series, and they went from white to red. So for, I guess, maybe 3 or 4 years, the 94 series was, the 94 Case series was the new Case International. And then when they finally created their first new tractor, which was the Magnum series, they basically more or less retain the 5488 cab, or the 88 series cab, but one of the things they did was they moved the hinges from the front to the rear so the door opened out like that, so it would open up almost over top of the wheel, so you had all the room in the world to get into the cab. And it's kind of funny that that was one of the big deals, you know, as far as the cab went. Going back to the quality control thing, you can kind of see right here, the door doesn't actually shut. It's not quite square. The window glass here doesn't quite sit inside the door all the way, which is a little disappointing. The back window is supposed to open up and tilt out, and you can see it's got the window tracks right there. Well, the one on this side's kind of bent, so the back window doesn't open up, which is, it's not a big deal. It looks fine with it closed, but it's kind of disappointing because, like I said, you get used to a certain level of detail and functionality with these precision tractors, and when you don't have that, it can be pretty disappointing. Another good example of quality control, it's kind of hard to see, but the 3-point arms are at different heights. This one's a little bit higher than what this one is, and they're stiff enough that I can't quite get them to even out, and I can't move them enough to where I don't think I'm going to break it, which is pretty disappointing. It just looks goofy to me, you know, to have the hitch arms at different heights from one another. But once again, though, it is a precision tractor. It's a nice quality piece. It just it would be better if it had been made 5 years before it was. I think it would have been a much better quality tractor than what it is. Overall, the paint is very good. The decals are very good. It looks great sitting on the shelf. It displays very well. The finer decals for like the warning labels and everything, they are there. The cab interior, it looks pretty good. You can see the brake pedals. Again, quality control. One brake pedal is basically on top of the other, which is not a big deal. If you're not looking for it, you probably won't see it, but it's still, once you really look at it, it's kind of distracting. You can see more of the cab interior there, like the gear shift levers and all that, the hydraulic levers. It all looks pretty good. You can see I think that's the serial. It's kind of hard to see. You can see the serial plate right there inside the cab, and the other, I think that's rollover, like the ROPS information. I think that's what that is, but I'm not sure. It looks really good. It's a good looking finer decal to have in there. You got more warning labels and lights and everything. Now the hood panels do open up, which is nice. You have the old hot plate there. Basically, it's just kind of like a heat shield to keep the side panel from warping, or maybe not warping, but it would keep from burning off the decals on the side of the panel. That was one of the things that happened. I don't remember if it was all of the bigger 86 series tractors, but they found that where the actual muffler was underneath the hood, it was either the muffler or the turbo. Where that was, it would actually burn the decals off the side of like a 1086 or 1486. Once it really got hot, it would start to burn it off. And one of the big aftermarket things was you had basically kind of like an elbow that was a shield that would keep that from happening. It's kind of interesting that they would basically include that on the next series of tractors. Anyway, the interior of the motor looks pretty good. It's really well done. You have a little bit of that off-color, it's like a discoloration of the black plastic. You have that on some of the on a lot of the newer models now. I don't know if it's just the like the quality of the plastic that they're using, or if there's something like chemically, you know, strange about it. I have no idea. But a lot of the newer tractors do that. It happens on a lot of the rubber tires. The top of the hood also pops open. You can see some radiator detail. You can see the end of the air cleaner, and that's also pretty cool. Alright, if you look at the front of the axle, or front of the tractor, you can see that it's equipped with MFWD, or mechanical front wheel drive. That was one of the things on the 88 series that was fairly popular, to have the MFWD as an option. It'd been an option, I think, on the 86 series tractors, but I don't think it, I'm not sure if it come from the factory on the 66 or not. I really can't remember. I know that they started manufacturing kits like, you know, other manufacturers would make kits that you could put onto your tractors, and dealers would do it, but it for the most part, they didn't really come from the factory that way. And that started in somewhere around the late 50s, early 60s, where you could get the MFWD kits and have them installed, or you could install them yourselves. And eventually it just kept gaining popularity, and now it's almost rare to see a two-wheel drive tractor, whereas, you know, up until basically the early 80s, it was fairly uncommon. Then it was real common. So it's kind of interesting that they chose to include it on this model here. Something else that's interesting is if you look at the rear wheels, you can see the hubs are dished inwards as opposed to coming out, and you have a lot of extra axle sticking out here. It's almost like they made the tractor set up to have duals in the back, but it just doesn't have duals, and it kind of leaves it looking maybe a little goofy, especially with the wheels turned in the way that they are. I'm not really a fan of it. I feel like it's kind of incomplete, like it should have had duals on it. It really would have been pretty awesome to have duals, but I guess it's alright that it doesn't. The tractor is really heavy. I mean, it is really heavy. You can see underneath you have some pretty good detail of that MFWD axle. You can see the belly pan of the motor there. Everything else looks pretty good. And again, looking at the rear end, you got that goofy hitch, which is kind of unfortunate. You can't really do a whole lot with it. The one pin doesn't really want to stay in there very well. See that right there? I had to push that back in when I got it out of the box. There it goes. But you do have 3 sets of remotes. You got some more nice tiny decals there. It really does look pretty good. It's a very good looking tractor. It displays very well. It definitely it fits in great with all the other precisions. It's nice to have a nice 80s big horsepower tractor, in there with, amongst all the other precision tractors. I really like it. If you have the chance to pick one up, I recommend it. It's a very good looking tractor, and despite the quality control issues, I think overall it's definitely worth having. Anyway, that's about it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. If you'd like to see more of what we have, please subscribe to Maryland Construction Diecast, and thanks for watching.